Hello again, my friends. It is Bumbleberry, and I am back with more Seduce Me. Now we're gonna go and confront our new lady friend who wants to steal all of our men, which, as you know, is always very exciting. So, here we go. Let's go see what's going on. Now, hopefully nothing screws up. I've already talking about the ride back home yesterday, saying that the ride was a one-time thing. I'll be riding with you guys from now on to and from school. The girls seemed very happy. We entered the school, quickly gathered our things from our lockers, and headed to class. There were no events to our surprise. History wasn't exactly fun, but our teacher was great. At least he would have been great if he was in class that day. Naomi and Suzu took their seats around me. Suzu in front of me, Naomi beside me, before the class bell rang and class was greeted by the dean.
Students, you'll be having a substitute for class today. Everyone meet
Miss Diana.
Oh, jeez. My heart stopped. At the door with the dean was Diana, looking over the students and smirking as her eyes landed on me. She strutted to the teacher's desk, ignoring or welcoming the whispers from the other students before sitting on the wood and crossing her legs.
Thank you, Dean. You can go now.
The wave of Diana's hand, the dean left the classroom, closed the door, and left. Diana smiled at us, making my stomach turn. What was she gonna do? What are you doing in a school?
So, history. History. Such a silly thing, isn't it? I mean, what do we care about the past? We're in the present.
The rest of the class, including Naomi and Suzu, hesitantly nodded in agreement. Unsure about this new teacher, but willing to listen to more of what she had to say. She's a nutter! Don't trust her!
The present is so full of wonderful things. While the labors of the past are the reason we have many things, it is our chance and privilege to utilize what has been given to us.
Huzzah. Her charm was almost infectious. The class was practically starting to eat out of her hand. I looked around to see classmates grinning and agreeing with Diana. I pressed my lips together as I listened further. I had no choice.
What's even funnier about human beings is that some of the bits of history we hear as either made up or completely biased to one side. It's like a story you read as a child.
Thank you for that.
You hear of the princess and the prince, and they live happily ever after. But what about the family she left behind? What of her
They
friends?
come and visit. Students listened and agreed intently to her words, I could tell. I could tell, however, that these words were all targeted at me. Sorry.
The original story of the Little Mermaid, a perfect example of biased opinion. Here we have a girl who thinks she can be with this prince, but this prince has to marry a princess. What would happen if the mermaid had her way? What makes the mermaid so important that the princess has to suffer the consequences?
Does it matter to the princess or keep quiet? I'm gonna keep quiet. I mean, it really doesn't matter, but I feel like that would be mean. There was no way I was gonna let her get to me. Despite her being the teacher, I was gonna ignore her. There was no telling what she could do if I talked back. She'd probably, sew my mouth shut or something. Her mystical power. She looked at me, expecting me to speak, but I merely stared at her. A smirk graced her face. A glare graced mine. I didn't need to fight to win.
It's still something to think about, however, as we think of this story. It's so easy to believe that the mermaid was the heroine. But what of the poor princess? Why should the princess suffer the antics of a mermaid? The princess didn't do anything wrong to her.
More nonsense. I knew this was all a subliminal message to me to make me pity her. My anger didn't allow any leeway to feel pity for her. How long was she planning to drag this out? She wasn't a real teacher. Diana continued to rave about the injustice the princess had to suffer through while the mermaid was in the prince's sight. To Diana, it was injustice. To me, it's a fairy tale. Hello. I will say, in the original fairy tale, because I'm obsessed with them, I don't even think he was supposed to marry a princess. There was a nurse who took care of him after the mermaid brought him back or something. And I think he thought that she saved him, so he married her. And I'm like, this guy doesn't care who he marries, does he? He does, but he doesn't. And they were happy. But you know how it ends. She kills herself. Kind of. She either has the choice to either kill I can't remember if it's the prince or his new bride, or she can kill herself. And so she's like, I'm not going to do it. And she throws herself in the sea. And then she becomes an angel in the end, which is sweet. The boys chose me. He chose me. She wasn't going to convince them otherwise, and I wasn't going to let her. Dana stretched her arms up, making an obvious sexual noise. Ew, that made some of the boys in the class shift in their seats. I rolled my eyes.
Well, that's enough about fairy tales. After all, the Little Mermaid was fated to lose her prince in the original story anyway. It was for the better, though. The kingdoms, I'm sure, flourished, and the prince and princess lived happily ever after.
How can you be so sure? Ooh, I felt ballsy enough to challenge her at last. The other students in the class, including Suzu and Naomi, turned to look at me in shock and confusion. Dana looked over and smiled kindly.
Because I have a hunch.
Oh, please, is that what if the prince was incredibly unhappy? Could the princess live with herself knowing that the man she married was unhappy?
In that case, the prince and princess's senses of duty would overrule emotion. Their kingdoms would flourish nevertheless, making their people love them and live happy lives.
Doubtful. Another excuse. She wasn't answering my question. So the prince is supposed to suffer a marriage he doesn't want for the sake of his kingdom?
It happens all the time in reality. Arranged marriages happen to bring families together and bring wealth out of poverty.
What poverty? That doesn't make it right. Other students applauded me, knowing what I was saying was right. Diana pressed her lips into a thin line out of irritation, signaling my victory. Diana stopped talking and looked at the clock on the wall, reading it quickly. The class had barely begun. Why was she looking at the time? Because she has evil plans! She leaned against the backboard and smiled at us. I became worried.
You know what? School isn't important. Everyone, go ahead and head home. Take the week off.
What? The students began to chat happily or out of confusion of the situation. Many thought it was a dream come true. Others knew better. Before anyone could protest, however, Diana pressed a finger to her lips and counted her fingers in the air. 3, 2, 1. Speakers of the classroom gently awoke, giving us an announcement we would never believe.
Attention students! Due to an emergency faculty meeting, we will be closing school for the remainder of the day and this entire week.
What?
Please leave the school quickly and quietly and have a good rest of the week.
Is there a demon over there who's like, oh, she used her powers on them? I feel the need to stop her, but how could I stop a demon in the middle of a public area? I don't know. Diana smiled before gesturing to the door.
Have a nice week off. School will resume next week.
Many of the students filed out, chatting to each other about new impromptu plans. Suzu was beyond happy, but Naomi was hesitant. Before we could pack up and leave, however, Diana stepped to us.
Excuse me, little miss. I'd like you to stay a little while. There's something we need to discuss.
Nope. Super busy. She looked to Suzu and Naomi. She snapped her fingers, making my friends tense up.
You two can head home. Don't worry about your friend until next week, okay? If you contact her, she won't reply, so don't bother. If she contacts you, ignore her.
Why a week?
Because she's just fine.
Like, why a week? I don't understand. As if on command, Suzu and Naomi left the room. I tried to march after them, but Diana stepped in my path, warning me with her eyes that if I followed, there would be hell to pay. I had lost my 2 friends, at least for the week. Diana and I were alone, just like she wanted. Also, I'm sorry if there's like a weird buzzing noise in the background. There are guys outside using the lawnmower, so I'm trying to just like shield my microphone and be like, you can't hear them. But if you can, I'm sorry. There's nothing I can do. There's nothing I can do. I slammed my hands on the desk in front of me and glared at Diana. What are you doing, and what are you thinking?
What? Do I not make a good teacher? I figured you should have a little lesson, so I took matters into my own hands.
Whatever you're trying to do won't work.
You really think so, dear? And what makes you so sure about that?
What was making me so sure? Why was I confident? Were the boys worth this? What? Why is she doubting herself now? Like, you have demon dudes and your grandpa fought demons. Girl, take a page out of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, group up with your friends, and kick some butt. Okay, my thoughts began to fill with doubt. All the uncertainties about this whole ordeal began to cloud my mind. Hello. Okay, if the boys were ever found out, there'd be hell to pay. Was it worth it? What about Diana? What would she do to me? Would she make my parents forget about me completely? Would she ruin my friends' lives out of spite? In my gut, I felt a stone of confidence try to fight back, but the heaviness of my thoughts began to dissolve that stone little by little. What was going on with me? I looked up to Diana once again to see her gaze boring into my eyes. She was using her powers on me. Oh, shoot. This time I was away from home, so I couldn't escape. Or could I? Did I want to? The way she stared at me made me feel warm and fuzzy inside my chest. I felt like melting. Oh my gosh, girl, get a grip. That's for another playthrough. Dana lifted a hand under my chin and ran her thumb over my lips, licking her own. I could feel little shots of energy zipping from under my skin into my chin where she held me.
Now, let's have a little taste of that sweet, virginal sexual energy.
Girl, back up. I feel like, no, this is bad. No. Like, you shouldn't steal sexual powers from the girl that you don't want to marry your future husband. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like there's just too much drama there associated with that. I watched as she leaned in, ready to kiss me and take my energy. Half of my body felt elation at the idea. The other half completely rejected it and didn't want her to even touch me. Eric. Suddenly, Diana stopped in her tracks.
Eric? Who is...
Then it dawned on her.
Ah, one of the boys. Why did you tell me which boy is Eric?
I felt myself nod in compliance. Second. Diana giggled in reply before letting go of my face and stepping back. You should have said, something like the hot one or something. Because that way it could apply to all of them. But I think...
Really? The sly second? With you?
I nodded once again, but this time it was partly my own decision to reply. Diana let out a sound that mimicked a cat's purr before stepping away from me.
All right, then. Well, if it's the second son you're infatuated with, you should really rethink your romantic options.
Diana chuckled before kissing my nose, where I felt a shot of energy zap out of my body, almost making me dizzy in recoil. I love this music for her. It's like the sultry jazz. It's nice. Diana turned to the desk and sat on the wood, crossing her legs.
Go now. Remember, no class for the rest of the week.
And how am I supposed to get home? My two friends left me here thanks to you.
Oh, were they your ride? My apologies. Let me help then.
Oh. Diana lifted her hand and snapped her fingers. I felt the floor sink from underneath me, forcing me to look down. A purple pentagram surrounded my feet, pulling me into the ground. Whoa! Before I could fight, however, I sank fully into the floor, fading into darkness and shutting my eyes. As I opened them, I felt nice silk sheets around me, soothing my anxiety from the darkness that had previously surrounded me. Why did Diana bring me home? Was this an illusion? Was I being tricked? Something was going on. I sat up in bed, looked around me. I was indeed in my room. There was no mistake about that. Why? Diana is too strange. Was this a game? Was this part of her plan to get the boys back? I was lost and more confused than ever, despite my logical thought trying to piece the puzzle that is Diana together. The more I tried to solve her, the less I understood about the situation I was in. I was interrupted, however, by my door suddenly opening, revealing the boys with Damien's hand on the doorknob.
What are you doing here? Aren't you supposed to be in school?
Yes. Don't hate me. I furrowed my eyebrows and stared at Damien, asking him to answer their question through my thoughts.
Anna sent her back here. She invaded her school and sent all the students back home.
What is that bitch up to? Seriously! Diana's playing around for no reason.
Maybe it's part of her plan.
The boys continued to argue back and forth about Diana, fueling an almost jealous curiosity in me. Damien seemed to be too deep within their talking to notice my thoughts, for he didn't even stop talking alongside his brothers. Why was Diana after them? Why did she want to bring them back? What was so important about the boys she would travel to the human world to get them? The human world! What was going on? I decided enough was enough. I needed answers. Hey! The boys stopped arguing, staring at me in surprise. I held my hands and fists on my lap, mustering the courage to continue to speak despite my abrupt shout. Why is Diana here? Why does she want to bring you all back? What exactly did you all run from? And
Miss,
why are you... Oops, sorry. Don't miss me, please. I need to know what's going on. I won't be left in the dark about this. I want to know what I'm facing. I think that's a legitimate thing to say. The boys looked at each other hesitantly, unsure of what to reply. Finally, Sam pushed Damien towards the bed, making him buckle and land on his knees with his torso over the edge of the mattress.
Do the thing.
The thing? What thing?
Sam, you're not suggesting.
Why not? She deserves to know everything. Especially if Diana is targeting her.
Sam's right.
I guess we
Maybe
have no choice then.
I'll hook up with Sam next, because, you know, he thinks I'm educated. I was getting confused. What was Damien about to do? So he sits across from me on his knees.
We're going to show you everything. You have to trust me, okay? The minute you stop trusting me, the vision will stop.
Okay. Vision?
Princess, please trust him.
I looked to Eric, unsure of what was going on, but I nodded. If this was the only way to learn, then this was my chance to know. Damien gently placed his hands on each side of my head, gently pressing his thumbs into the skin above my eyebrows. I could only stare at Damien as his eyes began to glow gold and energy began to be both pulled out of me and forced into my head. What? Within seconds, my vision went black once again. I was unsure of what Damien was doing, but soon shapes and textures slowly began to appear around me. I found myself sitting on a stone floor in the middle of what looked like a fantasy throne room. Where am I? I looked down at myself to stand, only to see my body as translucent as a ghost. Whoa! I jumped up and inspected my hands in a sudden panic. I was see-through. Why? What was going on?
How dare they try to negotiate with me? Do they not know whom they speak to?
I gasped and ran behind a nearby pillar away from the voice. I was scared.
My lord, please calm yourself.
Calm? They're merely testing my resolve. I have more than half of a mind to send my greatest armies to take what should be mine. They are mere insects in the way of my kingdom's expansion.
Sure thing.
They merely asked for a marriage joining.
So I'm to bow to them and share my land that I have so rightfully conquered?
Who are you people? I peeked behind the pillar to see a large demon covered in royal clothes, but buff enough to be a military commander. His rage practically emanated from his body as he growled at his servant.
They are willing to give their land to you, sire. All they ask is for one of your sons to marry their daughter, whom I might add is as beautiful as can be.
This is ridiculous! To suggest that I need their approval to take their land is beyond insanity. What makes them think I care about their precious daughter?
Did I mention that she is a prodigy of her kind, sire?
A prodigy?
Yes, my lord. This succubus is a master of her skills in magic and mind manipulation. She is said to sway armies with a snap of her fingers, despite being as young as she is.
Well, why do they want to join us then?
Impossible!
If only it were, sire. This succubus is dangerous, but would be a great asset to have should we agree to this arrangement. The only reason she cannot faze you, my lord, is because you are the strongest demon in the plains.
Is this supposed to change my mind?
Yes, my lord.
You are doing a terrible job at convincing me.
My apologies, sire.
I was lost. I could tell that they were talking about Diana, but why?
Father.
Ooh, I quickly turned my head to see another demon who looked like a mere child staring at the demon commander on the throne. Father?
Ah, Raystrow, have you finished your training?
Yes, Father.
Then what do you want?
I want to be with my brothers the best of the day, Father.
Demon commander walked to the young demon and gripped his hair, picking him up off the ground and forcing him to look up at his snarl. The young demon, however, looked unfazed.
Huh. Arrogance. Why should I allow you to be with them? I should kill you for your lack of respect to me.
I could only stare as the young demon faced his father, despite the massive difference between them. The young demon seemed weaker and easy to kill versus the demon commander. Why would this man kill his son, though? Was this commander that ruthless? However, I wasn't expecting him to laugh and release the young demon.
Good! Assertive even in the face of danger. That is why you are my favorite son.
Is it my grandfather? I could only stare wide-eyed as the young commander placed his hand on the demon's shoulder.
Very well. Go. Tomorrow, you will show me your training.
Little demon grinned widely before running off.
I have a thought.
Yes, my lord?
How old is this daughter?
As old as your 5th, sire.
Do you believe this proposal is worth it?
Yes, sire.
Tell those insects that they are safe for now. I will consider their offer.
Sire, are you certain?
Did I stutter? Now go!
Weren't you just suggesting that he should do that? Why are you so grumpy? He ran and... Oh, he vanished. Him and the commander vanished into thin air. What had happened? I didn't get the time to try to figure that out before a demon who looked around my age walked into the room reading a book. James, is that...
Raystrow, your nose is stuck in those books. Will you not lift your head up from them once in a while?
Huh? That voice. I circled around the pillar to see a second demon leaning against another pillar, smirking at the rice.
Aren't you supposed to be with your mother practicing the harpsichord?
I am, but I had a feeling that you were in danger.
In danger? What are you...
Attack!
All of a sudden, 3 shadows zipped through the room and slammed into Rystra, forcing him to fall to the ground and drop his book. As the sight cleared for me, there were 3 other demons in the dog pile with Rystro at the bottom.
Get off! No way! You haven't had a break in months from those stupid books. It's time for punishment!
Death by brotherhood! No more reading!
I told you that you were in danger.
I suddenly knew who these demons were. It's the boys. Even in the demon world, their brotherly connection was astounding. They were merely younger versions of themselves. Wow. I like this music, though. One of the demons, who I assumed was Matthew, grabbed the book from the floor and opened it, reading it
How
mockingly.
can you read this, Raystro? It's all about war strategy. It's boring.
I have to, Zakaru. Get off! There's only one thing you need to know about strategy. Kill them all. Take no prisoners.
You sound just like Father.
I couldn't help but giggle. It was cute to see them acting childish with each other. Eventually, James managed to push his brothers off of him and stand, brushing himself off.
You all are reckless.
At least we have fun.
It's true. You haven't been with us in weeks. Don't you think it's time for a break?
I'm sure Father won't mind.
But I have to... I know you want to, Raystrow. Damn it.
What is going on here?
Uh-oh. I shot my head to the voice to see the commander, aged a little, staring at the boy with his arms across his chest. Damien quickly dashed and hid behind Sam, peeking over his shoulder to see the large commander.
Nothing is going on. We just passed by each other.
Then why does your brother have your book?
I was showing him what I was learning, Father.
Ooh, nice cover.
Return to your studies, Raystrow. The rest of you out of my sight. Do not disturb your brother again.
I could only stare as James gently took his book and, without looking at his brothers, returned to reading. The commander walked past the remaining brothers, growling at Sam and Damien, before leaving the room. What was up with that?
Don't worry about it. We'll find a way to get him back.
I don't know. He's on a very tight leash.
Ezra, you're quiet. What did you hear?
He's going to a negotiation meeting.
I'm hearing all their secret
He's
names.
going to arrange a marriage.
A marriage? For who?
It must be for one of us.
He hasn't decided who will marry her. It's a girl from a kingdom he wants to take over.
But that's uncharacteristic of him. Usually he'd just attack with the army.
Whatever the case is, one of us is getting married.
I hope it isn't me.
What about Ray Strau? He's the eldest.
Ray Strau.
It would make sense, but having a succubus marrying one of us means that she'll be practically married to all of us.
Ew.
What should we do?
What does that mean? Before the conversation could continue, the boys vanished into thin air, fading into different colored mists. They were replaced by an older Damien and Matthew sitting with each other in the middle of the throne room. Like, I don't understand.
Do you think we should?
Sexy demon
I
form.
really want to.
I'm just kidding.
I want to as well. Still, it'll be hard to convince Raysturo, since he's the one about to be married, and he's the favorite.
We don't know that, Zakeru. Maybe she's set to marry you.
No way! I don't want to get married.
I don't think you'll have a problem with that baby face of yours.
Oh my gosh. Are they, like, not wearing clothes? I mean, I guess they're demons, so it doesn't
What are you
matter.
two talking about?
We got into contact with the human world again.
Come on, Ezreal. You give humans too much attention.
No way, you gotta listen. They apparently have stores and books and schools and stuff.
So what? It's full of humans who piss on each other for no reason. They're no better than the devil spawn.
Nuh-uh, the one we were talking to wasn't like that.
Was it my grandpa?
How do you know, Zakeru?
Because I do!
What is going on here?
James.
They want to
what's
go to
going
the
on?
human world.
The human world?
Raysturo, think about it. You won't have to marry that girl and be the heir anymore. You could be with us, and we could make lives for ourselves in the new world.
Now you're just talking nonsense.
I vote that we do it.
Huh?
That's like
not
his
you two.
motto. That's his bumper
Think
sticker.
about it.
I
This
vote
may
that
be
we
our
do.
chance to finally get away from this political nonsense we're stuck in. We may be nobles, but we're still our own beings.
Ristrao is in.
What? Ezreal!
Woo! So how do we get there?
Are you kidding me? You don't even know how we'd get there.
A simple spell should work, but it would require someone from the human world to help us get there.
We can ask him.
Oh, he'd definitely help us.
I'm not so sure about...
Reistra, aren't you tired of pleasing Father all of the time?
I am, but...
If you stay, you'll be married off and become ruler of Father's kingdom. You'll have no time for yourself or with us, and you'll be constantly at war with the other realms for power. You'll most likely turn into the spitting image of Father.
It's weird that none
What
of the
he's
boys
saying
turned out like
is
their
get
dad.
your head out of your ass and let's go. If you don't say yes, I'll drag your princely ass with us. I don't care what that bastard of a father wants.
Come on, Raysturo.
Oh, and now the
All
colors
right,
make sense.
let's do this.
I'm sorry
What's
for
the
their
plan?
hearts. I couldn't believe what was happening. I was seeing the history of their lives before my eyes. They were nobles, and James was the heir to a kingdom that the commander ruled. Even more so, he was going to be married to Diana. They sacrificed everything to leave and be together. They'd rather be free than remain in their noble roles. I started to feel a little jealousy. They were able to leave while I was still expected to be what my father wanted me to be. How they were able to leave was uncertain still, but I knew I would learn in time. Closed my eyes and mentally asked Damien to end the vision. As soon as I asked, the world around me slowly vanished, and I was brought back to the bedroom where I sat with my head nestled in Damien's hands. My vision began to clear, letting me fully see the boys around me, all with concerned faces.
So, you now know exactly who we are.
Yes. Diana's the girl you were arranged to marry.
Not anymore. Once we left, the arrangement was broken. With no sons to marry off, her dad couldn't go through with the marriage deal.
If Diana is here for us, that means she's trying to save her kingdom from being attacked.
That's not true. She wants to rule our kingdom. Having one of us will give her the right to our kingdom, as much as we'd have right over hers.
I was to say, how does he know?
So she's a gold digger.
Well, with a kingdom like ours, what succubus wouldn't want to marry us for it?
It all made sense. She wanted them so that she could finally take over an opposing kingdom. She knew that despite her powers, she wouldn't be able to fight against their father, so she had to find another way in. That manipulative... Before I could continue, I felt my head suddenly get heavy and dizzy. I gripped my head, kneeling under my breath. What
I took too much. I'm so sorry.
Rest now. There's no need to do anything more today.
You took my energy? To give the vision? My vision was painted in white polka dots. I needed sleep badly. Let the darkness consume me. After what seemed like hours, I finally woke up, slightly refreshed. My body knew that if I slept any longer, I'd be up all night, which was not part of the plan for the day. I rubbed my eyes and sat up, letting a soft groan escape my lips. In response, something beside my bed shuffled, causing me to look over. I didn't know what I was expecting. Eric, yes! Beside me in the chair was Eric, rousing himself up. Oh! To see me awake. I smiled at him, seeing his slightly ruffled hair and tired eyes. Dude, I'm saving. You can't stop me. I'm going to end it here for now. We'll find out what Eric wants next time. Sorry for the audio weirdness, and I'm just going to experiment with some stuff right now. Hopefully by the next episode I'll have it figured out. We're actually coming up towards the end of the series, I believe. So just a couple more episodes before the grand finale. But let me know if you have any games that are non-dating sims you want me to play. I already have a couple other dating sims coming up. But hope you're enjoying the series, and we'll find out what Eric wants in our bedroom next time. Stay sweet.